Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, JenksTCG. Today we're going to be covering Isaiah Bradner's Baby Blounds list in the standard format. It plays 3 copies of CRAMORANT V. Main goal is going to be sniping those bench Pokemon and then use Baby Blound to take knockouts on other Pokemon. So with that being said, let's hop into the video and yeah, we'll talk about some text and the matchups and all that. Guys, so here's the deck list that we're going to be taking a look at today. This is the list that Isaiah Bradner is playing in the Team USA vs Japan tournament, event, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't seen that, link to Franco Takahashi's Twitter will be in the description where you can learn all about that. And yeah, the list is really cool. It definitely takes in a little bit of an unorthodox way of playing Baby Blacephalon. We got 3 copies of CRAMORANT V. That's definitely not something that you see very often, but the main attacker of the deck is going to be that Blacephalon, and this is usually how Blacephalon is played. You kind of play a bunch of these, and then you use Welder to power up Fireball Circus. For 3 fire energies, it's going to do 50 times the amount of damage that you discard fire energies from your hand. So obviously a one prizer that can hit a ton of damage, but Isaiah's list takes a little bit of a spin and plays 3 copies of CRAMORANT V, and the goal here is to use Spit Shot in order to one-shot Dedennes and Crobats on the bench, and you can knock out Crobats by using Zigzagoon and Scoop Up Nets, and that's mainly how this particular list operates. It uses the CRAMORANT a lot more. It also has Beat Catch, so you can use a colorless attack energy cost and then search your deck for 2 cards, put them into your hand, just prepare yourself that way. And yeah, the rest of the list, you got the Zigzagoon to set up numbers on the bench for CRAMORANT or for whatever's in the active position. You also have Dedenne to draw cards and 4 Jirachi to smooth over your setup and get that pivot point that is really crucial to setting up. In addition to that, we have 3 more Pokemon. We got Zacian V. On your first turn, you can just go ahead and grab this guy, bench him, and then use Intrepid Sword to draw 3 cards. You mainly want to go first with this deck, so Zacian's actually a really good card for this purpose. You can Intrepid Sword, draw cards, make the hand stronger, and assuming you don't get Marnied or anything, you get to keep those cards. Then we have Mewtwo. This deck only plays 4 Welders. Some lists play Boss's Order, but this one Mewtwo is just going to allow you to Mind Report, get a supporter from the discard pile, put it on top of your deck. In this case, it's going to be Welder, and then you can go ahead and use Jirachi or anything else to get that Welder into your hand, power up those attackers, and go for there. Then you got Oricorio GX. This card is very crucial and is usually what your opponent wants to knock out a lot. I could even see playing 2 of these in the deck, although it would be a little odd because most lists don't do that. You have that ability, Dance to the Tribute. When you get knocked out, you have this ability to draw 3 cards, and you can only use this ability once per turn, but that 3 cards can be a big difference in the way the game is played. The rest of the list is actually pretty simple, but before we do that, I want to go ahead and jump into some of the text that you could play in the deck. A little bit different, but we're going to be taking a little look at some of the text and some of your matchups. The matchups for Baby Blounds actually plays out pretty similar. You really want to just knock out any threats that your opponent puts in your way. A big mistake that players make is they go far too aggressive when they can really just kind of sit back, build their turn, build their hand, and then go from there. That makes it that you can thin more cards, not be as susceptible to Marnie or Reset Stamp, anything like that. In addition to that, this list in particular plays CRAMORANT, heavily plays CRAMORANT, so you can use CRAMORANT to go ahead and snipe bench Pokemon. You can set up checkmates with CRAMORANT and just have it be able to snipe the bench Pokemon. So this is overall going to make your game plan a little bit different than the way a standard Baby Blounds list, but in general, Baby Blounds, the matchups are very similar across the board, and a lot of them are tempo races. So against ADP Zacian in particular, you're going to want to just try and out-trade them as best as you can. Their GX attack coming down going to steal them extra prizes, so they really just win in 4 turns. They go GX attack, 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 and if you cannot win by that time, then you'll lose. But you can just try and knock out the ADP and then knock out 2 Zacians, and then your game plan is pretty much complete. One of the cards that would help you achieve that is Beastbringer. This makes your clock a bit better for yourself, and it makes the game more winnable. If you're able to knock out a ADP with the Beastbringer on, it says if you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, your opponent's active Pokemon's a GX, which ADP is, you can take an extra prize card if it's your first set of prize cards. So you go from taking 3 prizes on ADP to taking 4, and then if you knock out a Zacian, you win the game. In addition to that, we got some other cards. Victini V is mainly a resource control card. You can Spreading Flames, set up attackers on the bench. Just going to allow you to attach 3 fire energy cards from your discard pile to any of your Pokemon any way you'd like. It's a pretty decent card, 190 HP V Pokemon. It has energy burst 30 times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon, so it's not even a bad attacker at that. Definitely a okay card that could see play in the deck, if depending on the way you want to play it. Then we have Marshadow. The reason this isn't in the list is because Hearth isn't as important because you're not looking for all the energies, but if you were playing the build that has like one Cramorant or whatever, you can use Marshadow to bump the chaotic swells that might come into play, and then you can go ahead and play your Hearth down. Or another useful thing is you can go Hearth, discard your card, draw 2 fires, Marshadow, get rid of the Hearth, play another Hearth, and then repeat that action, getting 4 fires into the hand. So Marshadow is definitely not a bad card that you could play in the deck if you wanted it. Then energy retrieval. If you play more energy retrieval, you have more options to get energies back. Cramorant build doesn't need as many energies, hence not playing a ton of these, but if you wanted to, you can play more energy retrievals. In addition to that, you can play more Great Balls. This would add consistency. You can just find Pokemon easier, burn through your deck quicker, stuff like that. Pokemon or Tool Scrapper is going to help you against any big charms or metal goggles, stuff like that, that is going to just make it harder for you to KO threats. And Scrapper, while it's just a one of, you could play 2 to make it a little bit easier to find with Jirachi and whatnot, but that's why it would be there. You can remove big charms, make it easier to one-shot a big charmed ADP. Goggles on Lucario Memoization with that GX attack is going to be pretty difficult to hit through and stuff like that. Then Boss's Order. This list does not play it because it emphasizes on the Cramorant being able to KO the bench threats, but you could play a Boss's Order, use it with Mind Report, stuff like that, gust up the bench, and just have that option in your deck. And in addition to this, you could play extra fire energies because you need fire energies to attack. And that's going to round out the techs and the matchups. Let's go back into the deck list. Okay, so back into the deck list, we got 4 copies of Fire Crystal, we got 1 copy of Energy Retrieval. This is just going to be the way that we put energies that we've ended up discarding with Fireball Circus or Beak Shot or anything like that. Get them back, Spit Shot, sorry. Get them back into the hand. We have 5 outs to do so. Fire Crystal going to grab 3, Retrieval grabbing 2. We only have 1 copy of Great Ball. I didn't think that, or Isaiah must not have thought that this list needed more draw outs to Pokemon than just the 1 Great Ball, so definitely in there for just one purpose, and probably could be cut for something a little bit more useful. We got 1 copy of Ordinary Rod. That's just going to shuffle any Pokemon or basic energies you want back into the deck. 4 copies of Quick Ball for more Pokemon search. 4 copies of Scoop Up Net. This is super important for returning Jirachis to our hand, using Mewtwo for Mind Report, or picking up Zigzagoons, going ahead and setting up damage on the bench. The Zigzagoon play is super important, obviously, because you want to Spit Shot a Crobat. You need to get 2 more damage counters in play, so you can just net your Zigzagoon that you've already benched and get 2 damage counters that way. We got 4 copies of Switch, another way to pivot between the Jirachis and your attackers. We got 4 copies of Hearth. It's the best stadium for this deck. It's going to be able to search those fire energies while thinning a card from your hand, so definitely the best stadium that you could play for this deck. Maxed out count for consistency. Then we got 4 Welder. This is going to be how you're setting up your attacks. You can Welder onto your Baby Blown and your Cramorant, as Welder says. Attach 2 fire energies from your hand to a Pokemon. If you do, draw 3. So you draw cards and set up your attackers. Definitely the best supporter for any fire deck. Then rounding out the list, we got 17 copies of Fire Energy. This deck plays a high count of Fire Energy just because it's super important that you're able to draw them and find them and reuse them with your retrieval cards so that you can hit huge numbers and snipe some bench Pokemon. So overall, a really cool list out of Isaiah for that Team Japan versus USA deck. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and hit that like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching till the end of the video, and I will see you all for the next video on Wednesday. Have a good one.